It's time for Money Watch International. And CBS News foreign correspondent Ramy Inocencio joins us from London as usual. So, Ramy, good to see you, my friend. We have been talking all morning about the war in Ukraine, which, as you know, has started a year ago today. You've been covering that, but you've also been looking at the war and its costs. What have you found?
So far, Vlad, an estimated $138 billion is what's been provided or promised to Ukraine by supportive countries around the world. And that number is from the Kiel Institute for the World Economy. It tracks global spending on Ukraine. Now, to put this into perspective, roughly 50 countries have an annual GDP bigger than that, which means about 150 countries have a GDP smaller, and that even includes Ukraine. Right now on your screen, take a look at Ukraine's top 5 backers. The U.S. on your left in blue, leading the way by far. Washington has committed nearly $80 billion. EU institutions, the number 2 blue bar there, only about half that at less than $40 billion. The UK, Germany, and Canada round out that list. Now, in yellow, you can see there on the left-hand side of your screen, the U.S. also leads in the amount of military aid. That's pushing nearly $50 billion. But, these numbers don't include the promises of tanks from the U.S., the UK, and Germany. So these numbers, without a doubt, guys, will keep rising.
So, as you know, since the war began, there have been more and more sanctions against Russia in the hopes of crippling the Russian economy. We just heard about a new batch of them. The White House unveiled a new set that's going to target Russian banking technology and defense. But let us talk about oil, because that was sort of the first focus. But it seems as if Russia has been able to actually sell some of its oil. It's been able to find some willing buyers. Can you talk a little bit more about that part of the story? Are they selling the oil for top dollar, or is it a cut rate price?
Right. Well, there is an oil cap, so the people, the organizations who are buying it are getting it at something less than what the Russians want it for. But since the start of this year, what's happening is that Russia has been able to get out at least 23 million barrels of Russian crude and fuel. Now, number-wise, that's the same amount of petroleum as the United States, as a nation with about 330 million people or so, uses in one day. So that really is a fair bit that's been able to get out of the country. Now, taking a look at this map here, according to data from Bloomberg, vessel navigation data, Refinitiv, which is a financial data company, ships are sailing from Russian ports in the Baltic and the Black Seas to the top of your screen, to international waters just off the coast of southern Greece. Now, that's reportedly near the port of Kalamata and the nearby Bay of Laconicus. Now, that's where those oil products are transferred from one ship to another. This, again, is an international water, so this is actually legal. This is important because that can help to hide its true origin. Now, it's not clear, though, who is selling or who is buying these products, but data shows where it's going, and most of that is going to Asia. Also, last year, ship-to-ship oil transfers off the coast of Greece that you just saw were 6 times higher than in the year prior. So clearly something is going on there. But, this is proof that where there's a want for Russian oil, there's a way, and in this way, a nebulous way to get it out.
And Ramy, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, as you know, was in India, and she warned China that they would face serious consequences if they helped Moscow evade sanctions. And this week, she said she still hoped to visit China. How has Beijing responded?
Yeah, well, Beijing has put forward a smile and hopes. A spokesperson for China's Commerce Ministry welcomed Secretary Yellen's trip whenever that happens and said that it's important to maintain normal communication. There's also hope that Secretary of State Antony Blinken gets to China, too. We know what happened there. I spoke with the president of the American Chamber of Commerce in Beijing earlier this week about this, and along with China's COVID-0 policy. This is Michael Hart.
We talked to U.S. government officials in Beijing, and they told us, of course, they were disappointed the Blinken visit didn't happen, but they did say that both sides, the Chinese side and the U.S. side, were working very hard to make sure that when Blinken came, it was going to be a really good set of meetings across a whole host of issues. And so, what we've been told is that the visit was delayed, not canceled. And so the hope is that at some stage soon there will be a new visit.
With regards to China's dropping of its COVID-0 policy and its reopening up, I wonder, to what extent has it been maybe a little too little or a little too late as U.S. companies have decided or thought about trying to diversify supply chain elsewhere beyond China?
Yeah, I mean, China has really hurt itself in one sense. Brand China has been damaged because of COVID zero. Companies definitely have tried to reinforce their supply chain, not necessarily pulling out, but making sure there's another location that can help supply part of what's made in China. And so, one of the surprises on the Chinese side is, January 8th, COVID zero is over, the borders are open, and people are not streaming back in for a number of reasons. But, there aren't enough flights yet. Flights are too expensive. Visas are still hard to get. And so it's going to take a while before China really builds itself back up. If ever, we might have hit sort of a peak just because of the damage done.
And that was Michael Hart there, president of the American Chamber of Commerce in China. Their new business climate survey comes out next week, and he shared that for U.S. companies, get this, China is no longer one of their top 3 destinations for new investment. Guys.
That is a definite shift. Ramy, thank you very much.
You bet.